Starting with the simplest concept is a kinetic kill vehicle. A kinetic kill vehicle is a spacecraft designed to destroy its target using nothing but the force of impact. It carries no explosive warhead at all. Instead, it relies on closing speed, sometimes tens of thousands of kilometers per hour, so that the collision itself releases as much energy as a small bomb. Guided by onboard sensors, it steers itself in the final seconds to meet its target head-on. But here is what makes a kinetic kill vehicle so strange. It destroys by hitting, not exploding. It is like trying to stop a bullet by throwing a second bullet directly into its path, except both bullets are moving faster than sound, and the collision happens hundreds of kilometers above the Earth. But the next weapon doesn't need to touch its target at all. This is a directed energy weapon. A directed energy weapon focuses concentrated energy, usually a laser or particle beam, onto a target from a distance. Instead of launching mass toward the target, it launches light or charged particles that travel almost instantly across space. Focused on one small point, the beam can heat a target's surface until it warps, weakens, or burns through entirely. But here is what makes a directed energy weapon so different from every weapon before it. It carries no ammunition to run out. As long as it has power, it can fire again in seconds. It is like replacing a bullet with a beam of pure sunlight focused through a magnifying glass so intense it can burn metal instead of paper. But the next weapon takes the idea of a bullet and turns it into an experiment in physics: the Railgun Satellite. A railgun satellite uses electromagnetic force instead of chemical explosives to fire a projectile. Two parallel conductive rails carry an enormous electric current, and the current generates a magnetic field between them. That field pushes a metal projectile down the rails and off into space at extreme velocity. Because there is no gunpowder involved, the projectile can theoretically be accelerated far faster than any conventional weapon allows. But here is what makes a railgun satellite so unusual. The weapon itself never explodes. The projectile does all the damage using speed alone. The same principle behind a kinetic kill vehicle, except now the gun is a satellite in orbit, and the bullet can be fired over and over. But the next weapon on this list doesn't just move fast, it moves an entire spacecraft using nuclear explosions. This is nuclear pulse propulsion when adapted as a weapon. A nuclear pulse propulsion is a theoretical method of propelling a spacecraft by detonating small nuclear charges behind it and riding the shock wave forward. A metal pusher plate absorbs each blast, and shock absorbers convert the sudden jolt into steady acceleration. As a weapon concept, the same design could theoretically deliver warheads across the solar system at speeds no chemical rocket could match. But here is what makes nuclear pulse propulsion so extreme. Every single step this spacecraft takes is a nuclear detonation. It's like trying to walk forward by setting off a bomb under each foot and somehow using the blast to move gently instead of being torn apart. But not every theoretical space system on this list is built to attack. Some are built to save an entire planet. This is a planetary defense asteroid deflector. A planetary defense asteroid deflector is any spacecraft designed to change the path of an incoming asteroid before it reaches Earth. The most direct version simply rams into the asteroid at high speed, transferring enough momentum to nudge its orbit just slightly off course. Because space is so vast, even a tiny nudge, applied years in advance, is enough to turn a direct hit into a harmless flyby. But here's what makes an asteroid deflector so different from everything before it on this list. Its goal is not destruction, but a redirection so small that most people would never notice it happened. But the next concept on this list isn't built to move one object. It's built to reshape the power of an entire star. This is a Dyson swarm solar weapon. A Dyson swarm is a theoretical megastructure made of countless satellites surrounding a star to capture a large fraction of its total energy output. As a weapon, that captured energy could theoretically be redirected into an enormous focused beam aimed across interplanetary or even interstellar distances. because a star radiates more energy in 1 second than humanity has used in its entire history. But here's what makes a Dyson swarm solar weapon almost incomprehensible. Its power source is not a battery, a warhead, or a fuel supply. It's an entire star. It is like turning a lighthouse into a weapon, except the lighthouse surrounds the sun, and the beam it casts could theoretically reach across a solar system. But the next weapon on this list doesn't destroy its target physically at all.
This is an EMP satellite. An EMP satellite is a theoretical platform designed to generate a powerful electromagnetic pulse capable of disabling electronics over a wide area. Whether triggered by a nuclear detonation or a non-nuclear energy discharge, the pulse induces sudden electrical surges in circuits, wiring, and electronics below. Buildings remain standing and no craters form, but the systems inside can be silently destroyed in an instant. But here is what makes an EMP satellite so unsettling. It leaves no visible wreckage behind. It's like flipping a switch that quietly fries every device in a city at once, without a single explosion anyone could see or hear. But the next weapon on this list is a space mine. A space mine is a small satellite designed to loiter near a target, sometimes for months or years, before activating to disable or destroy it. It could carry an explosive charge or simply the ability to ram its target on command. Because space has no currents to drift it away and no atmosphere to slow it down, a single space mine could remain in a precise, stable position indefinitely. But here is what makes a space mine so quietly dangerous. It doesn't need to chase its target. It only needs to wait for the right moment. It is like planting a trap beside a road and simply waiting years for the exact car you're aiming for to finally drive past. But the next weapon on this list is an anti-satellite missile. An anti-satellite missile is a ground, air, or sea-launched missile designed to intercept and destroy a satellite in orbit. After launch, it climbs beyond the atmosphere and uses onboard guidance to steer directly into its target's path, destroying it purely through the force of a high-speed collision. A single successful strike can eliminate a satellite that took years and billions of dollars to build and launch. But here is what makes an anti-satellite missile so consequential. Destroying one satellite doesn't just remove a single object. It can scatter thousands of pieces of debris that threaten every other satellite in nearby orbits for decades. It is like popping one balloon at a crowded party and realizing the shrapnel could pop every other balloon in the room. But the next weapon on this list doesn't launch from the ground at all. It's already up there, waiting to fall.
This is Orbital Bombardment, sometimes nicknamed rods from God. Orbital bombardment is a theoretical weapon concept where dense metal rods are dropped from orbit onto a target on Earth's surface. As the rod falls, gravity accelerates it to extreme speed, and by the time it reaches the ground, the impact alone, with no explosive at all, can release as much energy as a small bomb. Because it needs no chemical or nuclear payload, it could theoretically bypass systems designed to intercept traditional missiles. But here is what makes orbital bombardment so unnerving. The weapon is never fired in the traditional sense. It's simply released, and gravity does the rest. But not every concept on this list is built to strike from a distance. The next one works by gently pulling, not pushing. This is a gravity tractor defense. A gravity tractor is a theoretical spacecraft that deflects an asteroid using nothing but its own gravity. By hovering beside the asteroid for an extended period, the spacecraft's mass exerts a tiny gravitational pull, slowly tugging the asteroid's path off course. There is no impact, no explosion, and no physical contact at all between the two objects. But here is what makes a gravity tractor so strange compared to everything else on this list. It is a defense system built entirely out of patience. It's like trying to steer a massive ship by floating beside it for years and letting the faintest pull of your own presence slowly change its course. But the final concept on this list uses the same idea as a directed energy weapon, just applied with a gentler purpose. This is laser ablation defense. Laser ablation defense is a theoretical planetary protection system that uses a powerful, sustained laser to vaporize material directly off the surface of an approaching asteroid. As the laser heats one spot, that material blasts away into space, and the escaping gas acts like a tiny rocket thruster, slowly slowly pushing the asteroid in the opposite direction. Given enough time and enough power, that continuous outgassing can shift an asteroid's orbit just enough to miss Earth entirely. But here is what makes laser ablation defense so fascinating to end on. It turns the asteroid itself into the engine that saves us, using its own surface as makeshift rocket fuel. From weapons that strike with pure speed, to systems that never touch their target at all, to defenses built entirely on patience, this list shows just how differently humanity has imagined fighting and defending in the vacuum of space.